Hey folks, Vic here with your weekly trade video for Friday, May the 1st of 2026. Last week the theme was that if you're not a beginner trader, then why are you still losing? It's a question that traders really need to honestly evaluate and make the necessary changes. And this week I'm going to stay on this theme and talk further about it because it can be swept under the rug like most traders do, but unless you do something about it, the struggles are guaranteed to continue. By the way, I find it very ironic that if I show a video where we made hundreds of pips on a trade, that video will get way more engagement than one like this where I talk about the actual process that it takes in order to make those hundreds of pips. It's a trap. You can't get the pips without having the proven process and following it. So that's why I want to continue to hammer home the winning process. So if you're interested in how to actually get more consistent results, let's continue to talk about that. Let's get into the brutal truth of why all of your experience isn't making you profitable. Here's the thing: time in the market doesn't make you better. Okay, deliberate practice does. And if you've been trading for years without results, I think honestly, just looking in the mirror like this is going to sting a little bit for some people, maybe for a lot of you. A lot of traders believe that if they just stick around long enough, eventually it'll click. More time spent, more charts looked at, more trades, and all that kind of thing. Here's the brutal truth: time alone doesn't make you profitable. Okay. In fact, for a lot of traders, it kind of makes it's a kind of a funny thing here. It sort of makes them more comfortable losing. They get sort of, another loss, a big deal. They handle it and they just keep trading for entertainment or something. But let's talk about this. And look, this isn't just to point out the fact that you may not be a consistently profitable trader at this point. What I want to do is bring up these points because for those who are serious, I genuinely want to help you see a different path than what you may be on. If you're a tire kicker, this won't help much. But for those that are serious, this can be a real help. Okay. Repeating mistakes does not equal experience. You can be making the same mistake for 3 years. That's not experience. If you keep over trading, chasing entries, cutting winners early, not following a proven approach or getting off your trading plan, that's all the kind of things that just absolutely have to be corrected. Maybe you're not because when you're doing all that kind of stuff, you're not gaining experience. You're just reinforcing bad habits. Real experience comes from correction, not repetition. Okay, makes sense? Emotional decision making under pressure is difficult for most traders. They know what to do until they're actually in a trade. Okay, then fear kicks in, greed kicks in, doubt takes over, mistakes start to happen. Suddenly they're managing the trade completely differently than they planned, than what their trading plan called for. And sure, you've been trading for years, but if your emotions are still controlling your decisions, you're not experienced, you're exposed. Okay? Most traders don't actually review their trades properly. And I know this from just my experience working with traders for, 20 years now. They'll glance at a loss, they'll blame the market, and they move on. No breakdown, no journaling, no pattern recognition. Like what kind of disruptive pattern behavior do they have? So they keep on making the same mistakes without even realizing it because it's kind of become habit. If you're not reviewing your trades in a structured way, you're not improving. Okay, you're just participating. Big difference. And here's the thing too. And again, I've talked to so many traders. Most traders don't actually have an edge. They have an idea, they have opinions, they have setups that they kind of like, but they don't have something that's been tested, refined, and proven over time. That Darko's been doing his, for 8.5 years now, he's been providing these pending orders in advance for everybody. And 8.5 years is a lot. And he's been profitable every single year. Most traders don't trade that way, which is kind of strange. So every trade that they take feels random. Every outcome feels emotional. There's no amount of experience that can fix that because there's nothing solid underneath it. Okay. This is a question that I think that everybody really needs to ask themselves. Because you got to ask, look in the mirror, just be honest. Look at it. Is trading for you or not? This message is not for everyone. And the reason is because most traders don't actually want to look at themselves honestly. But if you're willing to, audit your behavior, your decisions, and your process, that's where everything can start to shift. Okay? I threw this in here because, I talk about our members and our community and all that. They're such good people. And I really, we get these little comments like this in our chat room all the time. And I mean, if you're a member of our group, you know what I'm talking about. They're in there all the time. This person said, "Hey, Darko, I just wanted to let you know I've listened to both podcasts. And by the way, the sidebar here, if you haven't listened to the podcast, you have to go and listen to the podcast. They are really good, very, very honest takes on trading, the good side, the bad side, the ugly side. And there's a link to our podcast in the text below this video or in the email that you received. In any event, he says, and I genuinely learned a lot from them. There were some really valuable insights that I'm already starting to reflect on and apply. I also want to thank you for being so genuine and open with us. It truly makes a difference and helps build trust in the process." Okay, really nice. We sure love hearing from people and that are kind of getting onto it and following the script and doing it properly. If you're serious about improving, you got to stop measuring your process by time. I don't care how long you've been trading. Start measuring it by how often you catch your mistakes, how quickly you correct them, how disciplined you are under pressure, how disciplined you are, following a trading plan. That's real experience. And that's what actually leads to profitability. Okay? Just before we wrap up, I have a question for you, and I would really appreciate it. Just take a minute and this will kind of help you analyze yourself a bit too. How many years have you been trading, and what's the one mistake you keep repeating? Okay, let me know in the comments. Be interested to hear from you. Thank you so much, everyone. I know this topic is one that's kind of difficult for most traders to face, but if you don't, you're going to be constantly struggling, and trading doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, please give it some serious thought. You can contact me anytime, right? And I'd be happy to evaluate where you're at and talk about how we can help. Okay? Thanks again. I hope you all have a great weekend and trading week ahead. Take care.